Hey, so welcome to the show, Kristen. I'm going to speak with Kristen Guerrero today, and she's a friend more than anything. So it's funny doing this, but she's working out of my space, and I figured it would be good to share her with everybody. So welcome, Kristen.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me. That's amazing that you're inviting me on. I feel very honored to be one of your guests today.
So Kristen, I met like in 2017. I had just looked it up, and I don't know, like you were kind of new, like we were just talking, like kind of new on your spiritual journey, like not super new, but you were like in the beginnings of it, gaining speed, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I guess, you know, you've been helping me out at the store by offering, or not like helping me out, but like coming to the store to offer classes related to art and painting and creativity. So that was kind of like your original foundation when you were younger, like was like the artist thing. And then the intuition, kind of the two merged together. So I guess give us a little bit of understanding.
Yeah, so from a young age, I have always been involved in the arts. It was kind of something that I found that I was kind of good at because I was patient at about like copying things in nature, and especially like being in nature, and like I kind of just learned a patience about like learning how to put something on paper that I could see in real life. It was like photorealism. And because I got the feedback that I was good at it, like I, kept doing it. But I didn't realize that like, as I was kind of doing that work, it really allowed me to kind of get in touch with my intuition, and I think like being able to visualize something in your mind is so important for manifestation, and for developing like, for meditation and things like that. And I think that really helped me develop my intuition. So it was kind of a natural progression when I was like kind of awakening, it's such a weird thing to say, but like, I was kind of waking up a little bit as I was growing up, and that kind of was like a nice marriage between, the two worlds, because creativity is so much about manifesting in the moment, and you kind of have to be in the moment when you're, creating artwork. And it was just there was a very nice parallel between the two.
Yeah, because you're getting into that space yeah. So, but did you go to school for art, right?
I didn't go to college for art, but I studied art like with a woman in she had an art school like all through elementary school and high school, and then I did arts in high school as well. When I got to college, I was more interested in doing theater arts, and so I was doing scenic design and lighting design, and it kind of translated into that a little bit more. But yeah, I took art classes like from when I was young until when I was like 20,
Right.
So it was always doing something. I never got a degree in it, but I was always doing art. And then I eventually went to Pratt to art school when I was older. I got my master's in architecture, so I was taking art classes there. So it wasn't really art, but it was kind of art merged with, more creating in terms of a building, like science,
Right, in a literal way.
Yeah, and like how things like kind of went together. So, but yeah, so art has always kind of been in the background of everything that I've been doing like in my professional life as well. So.
And then you said when your daughter was born in 2012, that kind of like shifted you in some way.
Yeah, and I heard that there was something to do with like the Kali Yuga calendar. And again, like I'm not, all of that interested. Like,
yeah, the 2012 was like the end of the world. Yeah. That was the Mayan calendar, and it was just basically like shifting into the new earth. It really wasn't the end of the world and was going to explode. But yeah.
But there was some kind of shift that happened in me.
There was. Yeah. And plus, I mean, our children do that anyway. Like,
yeah. That's definitely true. I think she brought a whole bunch of like gifts to me when she was born. And I just like the whole transition into kind of like meeting my teacher and sort of like, immersing myself more in energetic studies like happened around then too. So I was, I had my daughter, we were actually living with my husband's parents at the time, kind of a long story, but I became very obsessed with finding a house. Like I just like wanted our own space, wanted our own house, and like looking for houses. And like serendipitously, we found this house that we're in right now. And it was just kind of a very, I mean, I could go into it, but a lot of synchronicities, a lot of like crazy things for us finding the house. And we got this house, and it's up the road from a wellness center. Now it's not there anymore, but it's called Oceans of Calm. And one of the teachers in there was an intuitive coach. Now, at the time, I was working with a woman, kind of trying to develop my intuitive abilities. So I thought, okay, well, there's someone up the road that does intuitive coaching. Like, I'll go see what he's about, and little did I know that he wasn't really helping me like build my intuition, but he was an intuitive who would use his gift to try and help people like through their life situations.
Right.
So I went to go see him, and it was almost like, therapy, but he was helping me, develop intuition. And through him, I learned about his teacher. And then I went to go study with his teacher, and his teacher became my teacher. So Derek O'Neill is a humanitarian more than anything else, but he is a seed teacher in the Hindu religion through Satya Sai Baba of India. And he taught me a lot just about life in general, but he lives in Ireland and just is an amazing human. So I've had the blessing to be one of his students since like 2019.
Yeah. Well, I remember it stands out in my memory, either the first time I worked on you or like the second, how the whale came up. Do you remember the whale totem?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, and I always talk about that like story when I talk about like animal totems and how cool it is, how they present. And it like rose from like under the floor and like lifted the massage table practically. It was just like, boom, like just filled up the whole room. And that was you. And it was like, the message was perfect for your development, your intuition, whatever the messages were, which I can't remember now, but it was like totally in alignment with where you were at. And, it was really cool. So
I remember like also being in your Reiki 2 class, and I think you gave us the initiation for Reiki 2. And I know we had like this joint experience too. Like you saw a tunnel and I saw a tunnel, and like I was like, oh, it was just like the way we aligned, I think.
Right.
Like I knew that like you could see me for like who I was becoming, and like it seemed like such a nice natural like merging of like two people that were soul sisters or whatever, supposed to work together in some capacity, so it was really
those attunements sometimes they'll will be like a simultaneous or like a an identical experience, like vision wise, like between you and the student, and that never gets old. That's really cool. Yeah, that's
awesome. I think that was one of the first times that I had like an identical experience with someone. You were describing it, and I was like, oh my God, like, and I don't even know if I expressed to you in the moment when that was like happening. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's incredible, and it was just like, okay, like I hear this, it's an experience really cool. Totally.
And then fast forward a couple of years with the shifting of my business or whatever, and like I had shared with you and a few other people how like leading up to me finding Moon Magic's location, like I was seeing the number 23 for like the whole summer, and it was just like on repeat. And I looked up the meaning. I never remember what I researched when it comes to like meanings of numbers and animals and crystals. Like I have to go back and look, but it was significant for whatever reason. And then the day that the realtor could show me the location was October 23rd. And I was like, well, there it is again. And I just mentioned like all of the synchronistic things with the number 23 leading up to that day. And you were like, oh my God, I have a thing with the number 23.
I totally
I think I have to work with you somehow. I have to be involved there. And so
I felt called there. Like 23 has always come to me. Like I closed on this house on September 23rd. Like there's just 23 has been a very big number in my life for all these different reasons. But so when you said that, I was like, oh my God. And then
like,
you were seeing Jesus.
Look.
Then like Jesus was around you, and I was like, I don't know. It was just a very like, it just meant something to
Jesus
me.
Was around me.
Yeah, you were seeing Jesus in the van. Remember the van?
Oh, the van. Yeah.
For cool. Like. But I mean, that was like later on, but yeah.
That was before, that was after, that was like the thing, man, the Jesus van. That was the whole thing. I'm sure I mentioned it in some other episode, but yeah, it was really cool. This van with the Jesus picture taped on the back window, it just kept showing up. I always had behind it.
Picture of it. I was like, well, yeah, there it is.
There you go. It was so cool. And then soon after I opened, you were one of the people that were there that new moon Friday the 13th, like we blessed the space even though we didn't know what we were doing. And then you were our fairy wall designer.
Which is still in progress, but yeah. And I have gnomes for you too that like, I have
Oh yeah, the gnomes. Yeah.
But that space is so magical. Like being in that space, like you can feel a vortex of just healing energy there, and
It's
like
crazy.
I love doing the classes there because you can really sense a shift in people, like when they're in there, it's just a comforting, warm space for people to come and like be in their bodies for a little while,
Yeah. It's like a step away from the hustle bustle. I know I was in there at night. Me and my husband had to, I needed to drop off something it was like Friday night last week. And we took a ginormous walk and then took like a recovery break and at the store for like 20 minutes for the dog to catch her breath and drink some water. And while we were in there, I'm like, God, this place really is a portal. Like it's so different. Like, cause it was at night I had taken down the massage table and at night it's a different energy too. And I was just like, God, like, it's just, it feels bigger sometimes. It feels smaller. Like, it has like its own, essence. It's so cool. And so, yeah, you've been teaching classes there. And even before that, like before COVID, you taught a painting class, like the meditate and paint class for the first time to like a small group at my old space, or it was so small there. We only had a few people, but it was really cool. Like everybody benefited from the meditation and had really cool visuals, and like whatever we created was really awesome. So that's something you knew you wanted to do again, once we were like, even though we were still in COVID land, it was like 2021 when you probably did the first class there.
And the first time I did like an online class, I did it during COVID too. Like I did like a little group on Facebook that was like, like I think it was like 4 or 5.
Oh, that's right.
You were part of it too, right?
Yeah. We did the different. Yeah, I remember that was like in like the spring of 2020, and we were doing. Yeah, you were like mixing like different medias. Yeah. That's where I got like my rebalance Facebook profile picture. There's like a woman that looks like Freedom. And that's from that class. Yeah. So we were like, well, I forget the different homework assignments you gave us like each week, but we would do different things where we would meditate on something or choose a different type of medium, or maybe you had us mixing paper and paint, or I don't know what, like it was.
We did like, it was mostly like just different like anything you had around the house. Like I think I did like markers and pens and pencils and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember the one lady got into like the pointed paint.
Yeah, and she has a whole studio now that she like sells, like pointillism artwork. She kind of like just got into it from that. I'm not taking up credit. I mean, I'm not saying.
No, I know, but it was cool.
But it was just really cool that it opens people up, because I have nothing to do with it. It's like it has everything to do with your own intuition and your own connection to yourself and how that manifests through creativity. It's like none of my business, but like it's really cool.
Open the door. Yeah,
it's amazing.
So your favorite, like I know it varies, and like some things kind of peter out after a while, but like with the meditate and paint class that you've hosted several times, like you would do a guided meditation and people would have some experience that they would take with them and try to interpret it in paint, or they could just paint something unrelated, but usually it was something connected to like a vision they had during the meditation, and then they would create it. And you bring the easels and the big canvases and the acrylic paints, and people just have at it, and it's fun. And not only that, which is always my favorite part, was like interpretation. So like you have the gift of like reading the picture and giving people feedback. So
I guess like that part is pretty cool, because I never know what's going to kind of come up. And like if I look at a picture and something kind of comes through in terms of like a lesson that I've learned or something like that, then it's always kind of a cool way to kind of give a little bit of insight into like why someone might have created something. I remember even at the Rebalance Fair, there was a woman who had just lost her father. And she came to my table to do like a little, like I had a little 15-minute sketch and like art reading at the table. And we sat down, and she had a big mountain kind of on the right-hand side of her picture. And then she had a butterfly kind of flying out into the sky. And she had like a stream on the left-hand side, and it was a little bit more pastoral, like on the left-hand side. And I sat down with her, and I kind of just said, well, it seems something very heavy, and on the right-hand side of the picture that's kind of in contrast to the one on the left-hand side. And I said, your right-hand side typically, it just kind of came into me that it was about her father, and like something to do with her father. It was really heavy about her father. And she started crying, and she said, well, I just lost my father.
Wow.
And it was just like, I don't I won't always know what things mean, but I can tell people, okay, well, there's something very heavy here, or there's something that you've drawn here from your own, like, and people, it's a very unconscious process, but your unconscious is so, it only works in pictures, So when you're putting something down on a paper, even if you don't have the skill to like make it look photorealistic or whatever, you're still putting an unconscious idea and you're bringing it in, you're manifesting it into consciousness for your own enlightenment, so you can look at that and if someone can like maybe help you interpret like what it is that you put down on paper, then that's really cool because it's like a way into your unconscious. And so that was like a really amazing, like, and so things like that happen where.
Well, yeah, I think that with my, I think, is this here? Yeah, it's right here. I still have it next to my desk.
Oh yeah.
This is my picture that I made in your thing.
Oh, so cool.
But like, I don't remember. I think this is the same copy. Like, I don't know if it was like a new one that I did. I think it's the same one, but I remember you counting the layers.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it turned out to be like, because this has got many layers in it, but there was something that you interpreted once and it had to do with like the number, like I'm one in my whole family. I'm like one of 7, like including my parents, like we're a family of 7. So like that number came up, like things like that, where you're just randomly, you're thinking it's like, it's not conscious at all, but it's like, then you're able to kind of feel into it and be like, well, what about this? And then you're like, oh my God, it's like dream interpretation, or like looking at a card reading, like the person reading it is just reading it. Yeah. And the person receiving it is like, oh, they fill in all the gaps. So it's so fun.
It's just amazing what kind of comes through, and you don't expect like, a lot of the messages to come through, but then they're meaningful. And then like, someone can take it away as something they need to look at or study in their own lives. And it's kind of very special,
Yeah. So you were doing, and then also last year we did it one time in the summer where we were just doodled. We were like, just come draw with us and we'll have conversation. And so we're going to do that again this summer. I forget what the day is. It's like the last Tuesday in July, 20 something, but like, we're like, me and Kristen are gonna just hang out and draw. If you want to come, you can come. Like, you don't have to pay for materials, but me and her are going there.
It's so much fun. Just like, and then like, you never know, even like, it's like, when you're in a meeting sometimes, like, and I know I was like guilty of that too, like a meeting, like doodling in the margins, and then you look at it later and it's like, oh, cool. If I could look at like the numerology around the swirls that I did, or whatever, like, it's special and it's meaningful,
yeah, like the Zen doodle, like that's basically what the class is. It's like the Zen doodle mandala kind of a thing, and I have these little tile pieces of paper, so it's like you could have multiples and you could do different themes and different whatever, and you're gonna bring paint and I have markers and crayons. Like it's just like so casual. But yeah, it's a bonus if I guess you can interpret people's stuff, but it's also just a chance to hang out and talk about spiritual things in a safe environment. But so that's like something that we're like looking forward to. I think that's such a summer thing because I don't think that's like during the rest of the year. I don't know. It's just not that level of casual.
Yeah.
But, and then the meditate and paint you're going to do on Tuesday, July 12th, right? I think that's the day.
Yeah. I don't have the calendar.
Exactly. I know. I don't have it.
We'll post everything though. We'll post everything.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to kind of try and do like a manifestation class this summer. Cause that's always fun. Like summer is kind of like just a relaxed time where people can like, I don't know, do some like cool manifestation exercises. Like I did a manifestation exercise like a couple of summers ago and I like found this eagle feather. It was really cool, Yeah,
I was going to mention the eagle feather story. Yeah, because like I always love that story. What was it? You were like in a 7-day challenge or something like that?
And it was like a cool casual, like, it was a 3-week thing where like at the beginning of the 3 weeks you kind of pick something you wanted to manifest. And like I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, all right, I sage my house a lot. And so I was like, oh, I don't have a feather to do, you're supposed to like, one of the things you can do is you can use a feather to kind of like
move the smoke along.
Yeah, and that was the only thing I could think of. I was like, I'll manifest an eagle feather to do that. And so it was like just a really fun summer thing where, like every morning you would journal about, manifesting the feather and seeing the feather and what it meant to you and kind of having a feeling about like receiving the thing that you really wanted. And, I had a very open mind about it. I was like, well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then, like 2 days before the end of the challenge, I was like walking in the grass, like it was at the like
baseball park, right?
It was like a town pool. Like I was taking my daughter to the bathroom. It was such like a normal thing. And I like I looked down and there it was an eagle feather. It was the coolest thing. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing. And like, it just kind of blew my mind.
Right.
And now I can, there are experiences like that I've been taught, like, to help people, like, find on their own, that like, just like really kind of opens people up to the idea that like, you are a manifesting being, like you are God, you're creating your experience in every moment of your life, and you can be present for them and intentionally do it instead of it just kind of happening for you unconsciously.
I know, it's so nice. Like, and the other day I was in a meditation and I was like in that, like, like some meditations are better than others. And like, I was like in that like really high up place where I was like, just like buzzing and like, I'm so like highly vibrating right now. And I was like, oh, while I'm here, I gotta like remember to like include like because I still have a couple slots open to rent my space out. And I'm like, okay, I need renters, and I just was picturing like stuff rising up to the surface, like as if just something underneath a layer, and like I broke the surface and kind of showed itself. It wasn't a person, it was just like an image of like things sprouting to the surface. And I just was like trusting and knowing that the right people are finding their way to me. And like I don't even know, within like the hour, I think, or something, I got an email from somebody who was like, oh, I saw that and my friend told me, and she's naming all these names, and I'm like, I have no idea who these people even are. And I was just so grateful. So I'm going to be speaking with her in a few days to see if she, she's a good fit for rent. But it was just so cool. It was like right after that, I'm like, seriously, like shit works so fast. Like, it's so
and
cool.
like you forget, like until you're in that space, and then you like, and you met, like you called that to you, through imagery and intent. That's it. It was imagery and intent, and that's everything about creativity. And you made it happen, and that's like, it's so simple, and people are like so like amazed by it. But that's, if we could harness that and do that intentionally, consciously, like all the time, it's just the question of like getting yourself into the space where you're in your body and calm and like in the moment. And I mean, that's the hardest part.
It is.
In this like in this like environment now. My dog's like, yeah. Especially, when you have distractions like dogs barking at the window, like, it's trying to like transcend all those, like moments of your life that are crazy, and being present, and then you can, create the life you're intended to have.
I just like read an Eckhart Tolle, like in German you'd say Tolle. I don't think maybe I don't know if you'd say Tolle, but whatever. Eckhart Tolle, whatever. But yeah, I don't know, whatever. But he said something, it was like, once you realize you're not in the present moment, you are, kind of a thing. I think that was like the quote, like just like the second you realize, oh,
I need to bring myself back.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that was like a nice reminder. It was like a meme or something I saw the other day.
Yeah. And like, I'm doing that a lot now, just like trying to ground myself a lot more. Like I find, and especially doing things like this, like interviews or podcasts or, classes, like when I'm up in front of a class, like I realize that those moments I can consciously see that I'm not in my body, and I have to bring myself back in my body, and then
the more grounded you are, the better of a conduit you'd be.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. And like, I have to kind of pay attention to the moments where I'm not grounded. And sometimes I'll ground my house, and I'll ground my room, and I'll ground my family, and I'll, things are kind of, like if I can notice that things are not grounded, like, it's really important, and that helps with.
Well, Jenny Schultz had a cool tip the other day. She mentioned like, instead of grounding through your root chakra, to ground through your heart. Like that she noticed that was like more effective and more steady, like people. Yeah, I don't know, just that was interesting. So what's your magical series, or what are you doing over the summer? And like, is it going to be weekly, or is it going to be every other week? Like, I forget.
So I think it's going to be like every other week. I think we were going to do it starting the 14th, and like every like second and fourth Thursday, if if we can do it that way. Just creative exercises. I've been doing a lot of like exercises to kind of help people be in the moment a lot more, and then and kind of then doing manifestation exercise in conjunction with that, so that people can kind of really see the power of themselves and the power of them manifesting in the moment. And I've had like the really good fortune of like reading a lot of things about like a lot of people's experiences, and also having my own experiences, and choose from my teachers, and just like that I can share with people, you know, and I feel like it's kind of my responsibility to do it too.
Yeah, I know. It's like
Everyone should
giving you the
know.
push.
Yeah, like
So not only you'll share your experiences, and you'll also like probably lead a meditation and do some exercises.
yeah. I think like meditation is kind of like a really good way for people to get into like bringing themselves back into the present moment, especially in a space like Moon Magic, which is like so healing and so grounding in itself. You know, it's like it kind of just is conducive. Like it's just such a conducive environment for people to kind of just like sit and come back into their bodies. And then in that headspace, like when people kind of come out of that, they're in like the mindset to be able to create, not even the mindset, just the spirit set to be able to manifest things, you know, creatively. And then, you know, so we'll do some cool exercises. I have one. Do you want to do one now? We'll do
sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think, listen, this one blew my mind. So I was like, so I study also Qigong, and I study Tai Chi. So my Qigong, and I might eventually take teacher training to do Qigong training. Okay. That really like helps completely with grounding, but it also helps with healing your energy centers and healing your energetic body. And I know you do so much work with that as well.
But from a different angle. So I don't know anything about those, you know, modalities or approaches. So it's
Qigong it's kind of, it's like different doorways into the same, you know, like light, right? So, but I've been studying just kind of like the different organ systems and the different like meridian systems and things like that kind of like you send energy into naturally in your work, kind of like help. I guess you would say like kind of bolster those like chakras, you know, so that you can like, so it's very similarly related. So, but my Qigong teacher, when I was studying with her, she said, you know, do you know how powerful your mind is? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, you kind of know, but like, do you know, like without a concrete example of that. So, okay, we're going to do this cool thing. All right. So, I want you to take your wrists and like line up the bottom, like there's usually like a line at the bottom. The base like line up and kind of like compare your fingers. And usually there'll be like one finger that's like a little bit shorter than the others. Like I can tell that my like left index finger is like slightly shorter than my right one.
Me too.
Okay. So you're going to take the hands of the shorter finger and put it up above your head like this. And put your other hand on your dantian, which is so you're like
solar plexus
chakra. Yeah. And just take a deep breath and close your eyes and smile, because that, I know it's like kind of cheesy, but that starts like, so smile stands for starting my internal love engine. Yeah. And it's really that love engine that really kind of like gets that energy flowing. And so take one more deep breath in and out. Keep smiling and say in your mind with confidence, or you can say it out loud, but say it in your mind. It's probably say, my finger is growing longer and longer and longer. My finger is growing longer and longer and longer. My finger is growing longer and longer and longer.
I do feel it like stretching.
Yeah, I know I feel it. My finger is longer now. And now I want you to take your hands and line them up again.
So weird.
And compare. And isn't it longer? Yeah. It's totally longer.
So weird.
Isn't that so bizarre? And like, it's just crazy. So
but it did. I felt like almost like an arrow, and it was like stretching upward while we did that too.
And like, I do not necessarily completely understand the physicality that makes that happen, but it's something to do with your intention, right? And speaking to the energies in your body. And there might be like, you know, some air or something trapped in your joint. You just expand molecules in that, you know, and
well, it's like after doing yoga, you're like, you feel taller and whatever. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. If you want to keep your finger the same size, you can also put your hand up and you can say back to normal, and you know, your finger will go back to normal. You can compare again. Wow. But it's just like, you know, it's things like that. Like your mind, you're so powerful. Like you're such a powerful being, you know, and
we were way more powerful than we were ever given ourselves credit for, or that we were ever taught.
Yeah. So. it's, you know, so I just like love those examples. And I just love like helping people find that moment where they're like, I am that creative being, and like it has nothing to do with artistic talent. Right. You know, so like I love when people are like, I can't draw, I can't do it, and they come to my classes. I'm like, it's not really about that. Like
right. This is not a how to paint class. This is
it's
expression and like spiritual energy, and this is not not being rated on your abilities.
It's just, and it's a completely like accepting, open environment for people,
and it's telling, like, it's so telling, you know.
Yeah, it really is.
I forget, didn't we have, I remember the sisters, like, didn't they both draw butterflies or something like that? Like,
and they were on the opposite sides of the room, right?
They
both, like had like these butterfly things. I was like, can't make that shit up. You know?
I know. And I was making mine. I was like, what am I making? Like, I'm like, what is this turning into? Like, it didn't start out how I thought it was, but then it was like still like a powerful message. It was like divine feminine was like,
you painted like a birth canal, like
I made a yoni. I didn't mean to.
Like, but at the time you were like, you know, birthing so much for your, like, you know, for your business, center, for your business, for everything. And it just made complete sense that that's what was coming to you.
Yeah.
Moment, you know? And I just like, it's just very cool. I mean, you can interpret art in a lot of different ways, but even if you know, sit down like for 5 minutes on your own with markers and you know, doodle something, you know, like your own interpretation of your art is the most powerful thing too. So you know, it's like free writing, you know, it's like what comes out, and you really use that for your own empowerment and enlightenment.
Yeah. But it is nice having somebody else look at it too and give you, that's like when people are like, oh, like some people have walked in my store and then like, do you do like readings? You know, like they give it like that kind of, ooh. And I'll be like, well, yeah, but I'm like, I don't just sit down and do reading. Like I do body work, and I'll look at your chakras, and they're like, it was like this young girl or something, and she was just like, so would you like know if I was like in danger, like that kind of a thing, you know? And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to tell you everything that you already know, but it'll be different because it came from somebody who doesn't know you at all. So it makes your reality more real when somebody who doesn't know anything is telling you the same things you already know. So like, I don't think that, I mean, I know that there's other abilities out there, but they're not within my scope. I'm just reflecting back to you what I see, and you already know about it, but because you might not want to face that, and I'm telling you about it, it makes you have to face it. So that's like the power in that, you know. So the same with the interpretation of like the cards or the paintings. It's like you're just telling them back at them what is already going on. So, but somehow it's powerful. It doesn't make it less powerful because it's stuff they know. It's just having it kind of given to them objectively, I guess, you know. So I don't know. I think that's
the power of knowing, and the power of knowing that like you are somehow connected to their energetic field and you are somehow connected to them. You're able to give them that information, you know. And I think sometimes it makes people feel really like special and cool that like someone like knows them in a spiritual way, you know. I don't know. It's just, there's something
or like you said, like you see me, you know.
So, and you see me in the way that I truly am, without all the things that I'm trying to be, you know. It's like you see my essence, you know. And that's the coolest part too.
It is cool. Well, and so Kristen's also renting, one of the people that are renting the space. So you're there on Saturdays and Thursdays.
Sundays.
I mean, not Saturdays, Sundays, sorry. Sundays and Thursdays. And what is like one-on-one sessions with you look like?
So like I have, you can go to my website, also creativewisdomworkshop.com. I do
creativewisdomworkshop.com. You said it so fast.
I should really kind of shorten that for people. But I do theta healing sessions. I learned theta healing with you and Janet, who's amazing.
And theta healing is kind of like therapy and limiting beliefs, like on speed, like cleared up real quickly. That's how I think about it. I mean, there's other ways to explain it, but that's kind of how I see it.
No, that's exactly what it is. Like just, you know, like realizing where you're having blocks to your own, like, even manifestation. It is kind of like, you know, releasing those blocks of manifestation so you can manifest in the way that you want.
Whether it's this life, another life, childhood, whatever, you know, like there's something in you that believes something that gets in your way. So you got to root down, find that, pluck it out, replace it with a better belief that makes you feel better and brings you better opportunity and whatever. And it's just like, it clears up space really fast. And it can be really powerful and intense and quick. It's really cool.
Very quick. Yeah. And like, you think you would have to go to therapy. Like I remember, and I had, like, I'm not going to go back into my childhood and things like that, but I had, a father who was an alcoholic, and, things that I grew up in my childhood. And you internalize those experiences, and you kind of take them, and you don't realize how much of that unconscious experience is like really running the show behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And like the experiences that you invite into your life are really based on those experiences. And you would think that, and some people, and I did go into like traditional therapeutic environment for many years. And I'm not saying that that's not helpful. It is very helpful. But you don't necessarily have to do that. It can be so quick to just replace something that you didn't even realize you believed about something, with a different belief.
And that looks like it in the way you're doing it. I'm assuming that's just like seated, like in two chairs, like facing each other, like a conversation. It's not like they're laying down for that. Yeah.
So I do that. I do Reiki sessions. And then I do creative therapy. So I'm a licensed intuitive creative therapist. Kind of a mouthful, but I did get certified in kind of reading artwork, like we were talking about before. So that is also done in kind of the seated environments with like markers and paints and stuff like that. And we can kind of go through artwork and kind of also bring up things that are maybe under the surface that we don't know is running the show, and kind of like help, so I take a lot of different stuff that I've learned over my life and experiences, and kind of like put them together. But it's all in the kind of, with the intention of like helping people to remove old stuff, create new stuff, and create this stuff that really, would benefit them becoming the best versions of themselves in this lifetime. So.
And would people book specifically, like would they just book an open-ended session with you, or would they specifically book Theta, or specifically book Reiki, or?
I have been booking specific sessions, but I bring everything in. But it depends on, like, if you're more comfortable with body work, then you'll book a Reiki session. If you're more comfortable with like a seated environment, then you'd probably book a ThetaHealing session. And if you're scared of everything, generally you book a creative session, because it's not as like threatening to sit there with markers and crayons and like, talk about some stuff that's been bothering you, And
I'm sure also like it would present like during a session, you'd be like, you know what, maybe next time we could work on this or try this, so it doesn't mean like you're pigeonholed forever into one category. Like it's flexible. Yeah. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you can live your purpose and share your wisdom with people in this way. So yeah, and people can find you at creativewisdomworkshop.com.
Yeah.
And that's also is that like your handle on Instagram is just your name, right? Or I forget.
I think it's Creative Kristen. Now
we'll put it in the show notes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'll kind of like give you all the ways to find me. I'm not as active on Instagram. I know that. But like I'm coming into like being a little bit more present. So on social media, so I'm like, it's for me, it's a little to keep up with like
it's much. It's a bit much.
It's a lot, but like, hey, listen, it's part of like, reaching people and helping people. So
yeah, I know. It's like you got to conform a little bit. I started doing reels, but I didn't want to. I was like really resentful about it. But the level of exposure is insane. So like I'll share an Instagram post, and it's like, I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 50 people see it. And then I shared a reel, and like 3,000 people saw it. I'm like, God damn, like now I got to do these reels.
You have to do it.
So I'm like, and now my niece is doing TikTok for me, but like,
that's cool.
Yeah, I
haven't hit TikTok yet. I can't, not yet. I'm
not even interested. I'm just happy to help give her like something fun to do. And it sort of serves me, but it's more like a mutual, like, oh, it's just fun. But yeah, so like however we can reach people, but I'll be sharing your information soon. Like I have like a post coming eventually where I'm going to have everybody who's renting the space there and be like, hey, check out this person, check out that person. So people can find you in a variety of ways. But thank you for hanging out and talking.
It's been so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I was terrified, but I really enjoyed it.
It's not so bad. It's just a conversation.
It is. I know.
Well, thanks, Kristen.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye.
Bye.